Kurt, we have a COVID-19 update. Over 100 players are currently in protocols. And every 30 minutes, every hour, it seems like we're getting more and more information. Even for tonight, we have 2 games postponed. And then recently, Commissioner Adam Silver joined Malika Andrews on NBA Today and said, hey, look, the NBA has no plans in pausing the season like they did back in March 2020. What's your take right now on everything that's happening in the NBA regarding COVID-19?
I mean, I'm like a lot of people. This is, I think, hit everybody so fast and so hard. It's you know, I'm an MBA writer. I did not get into being an amateur epidemiologist here. I think I'm trying to figure it out as we go. But it came on faster than the league expected and everybody expected. And so you're scrambling. You've got a G League showcase in Las Vegas where I think the best players to run into players would have been the airport because so many guys were getting called up and flown out of Vegas to, Toronto or Brooklyn or wherever, like every team's filling guys in. It's been crazy. And all that said, I mean, Corey, and I'd be curious what you think about this. I tend to agree with Adam Silver on this idea. I'm not a big fan of pausing the season because what do? You send guys home and they're going to go to the same home parties over the holidays and New Year's Eve parties or whatever. They're going to go to the same restaurants. They're going to go to the same clubs. At this point, you're better having, I think, structure and testing and trying to find a way through this than just, I'm not sure hitting the pause button changes anything, Corey. What about you?
Yeah, after listening to President Biden talk about where the country is currently, it is interesting. Back in March 2020, there was no vaccine, there was no booster shot, right? Yeah. So knowing that the league has a 97% vaccination rate, and like Commissioner Silver said, that many of the 3% who are unvaccinated have tested positive and developed antibodies regardless. Then you think about what happened in college football, where last year people were saying, okay, well, what do we do with college football? Should we send them home? Or a lot of college students, should we send everyone home? And one of the main arguments against the exodus of leaving college campuses was we could actually provide more structure and more security for our students in this closed bubble environment of a college campus, right? So I do think that there is some credence to what you're saying here, Kurt, where, given the stringent testing requirements and the fact that, like Commissioner Silver said, the NBA probably tests more than most organizations in the country. That's probably the safest environment for someone to be in, quite honestly. So I do see what you're saying. And then given the other 2 leagues that are happening right now, going through the exact same things in the NFL, after that, what a crazy week for the LA Rams, huh? And then you have Premier League saying we're going to go ahead and push through the holiday fixtures and not postpone, not take a 2-week break, despite the exact same rapid surge in cases. I think the NBA is trying to figure out how do we continue somehow to navigate this. And right now, the replacement players and trying to understand how to deal with the asymptomatic response, I think, is probably the only way through that they see. So it's a lot going on. In other words, Kurt, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I think the league, the NBA in particular in this case, but the leagues in general, are grappling with something I think we're as a society are grappling with, which is more than a pandemic. This is becoming an endemic. This is becoming something we have to live with on a certain level for a long time. We're not eradicating the virus, smallpox or something. If not, where's that line? How do we do this? What's safest for players? If keeping them tested and these, as the virus evolves, hopefully viruses tend to evolve towards less lethal cases. Maybe we're just better off pushing through. It's hard for me to be, I feel weird talking about it because I don't know, but I think that we may be reaching that point where the NBA is like, at what point do we just push through this? And what point do we adjust and bring back asymptomatic players sooner rather than later? And I don't mean like, hey, we better get Trae Young out there for Christmas. It's more like on a grand scale, at what point do we start to adjust our expectations?
And I think the thing that the NBA has in going in its favor versus the NFL or Premier League is that the NBA plays a lot of games.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that it's not like, yes, Christmas Day games are important, but it's not like we only have one game a week to see the Golden State Warriors play. They play like every other day.
Yeah.
So I think that's the nice thing about the NBA is, generally speaking, we're kind of used to missing out on the stars in critical moments due to things like resting in recent years, right? So it's not as shocking to see a slate of games where, okay, Anthony Davis isn't playing or LeBron James isn't playing tonight in a big matchup. The NFL, on the other hand, they don't have that luxury, and the Premier League doesn't necessarily have that luxury either.
No, I don't think so. And I think the amazing thing is with all this COVID, I mean, a couple of the guys you're talking about, Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis, they would have been out anyway. They could be out anyway. Just these were injuries, right? This wasn't COVID related.
Yeah. So let's go to a couple of these games I want to talk to you about. So let's just break down some of the games. Hawks Knicks, knowing that you have Gallinari, Trae Young, and Clint Capella all out. What do you think about that matchup? Which pick?
We'll see who comes back. I will be, I think, like a lot of fans, I'd just be disappointed if Trae can't play, and we'll see what happens. Just because Trae Young in the Garden was the reason to watch this game after last year's playoffs. The Knicks have not been. How much is it killing Thibodeau that they're 23rd in the league in defense right now? Like, they have just not been that good defensively all season long. They're getting okay offense, but Julius Randle has kind of flattened out. His three-point shot isn't falling the same way. They're not scoring the same way, and now they're without. Look, it was their bench that was saving them, and you've got Derrick Rose has got an ankle issue. You've got a bunch of guys in protocols. I don't know who will at this point right now as we record this, we don't know who exactly we're going to see on Christmas Day from them because of the protocols. But if the Knicks don't have their bench, I mean, they've been giving Kemba Walker. He's been trying to take advantage of the run. He's got back 29 the first game, 21 the second game. But I don't know how much that's going to drive wins against a good Hawks team if they're close to healthy.
I mean, the Knicks currently, as of the moment that we're recording this on Wednesday afternoon, currently have 7 players in protocol, right?
Yeah.
And Nerlens Noel also just entered protocol. So it's the same type of concept where who knows? There could be a hardship exemption. We'll see a G League player playing. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
I mean, this has been happening.
He's back in the league too. So it's one of those things where it's almost like you're not even sure who's going to get on the floor. But with that said, I think the Knicks over the Hawks if Trae Young can't play and if Clint Capella can't play. I think the Knicks will probably win that game still, regardless of that situation.
No, by the way, not having Clint Capella is huge. I mean, Trae Young, obviously, Clint Capella anchors their defense. If the Hawks don't have him, they are not near the same defensive team.
And think Bogdanovic also out with a right ankle sprain. There's some other injuries around that as well. DeAndre Hunter, right wrist injury recovery. So there's a lot going on there. Let's move on to Bucks Celtics. Now, Giannis entered protocol December 14th. He could be available. What are your thoughts on that matchup?
I'm hoping he's available. I think that this is an interesting matchup. Just because the Celtics, and we've talked about this, they should be better than they are. They isolate a little too much, but there are days Jason Tatum just goes off. Jaylen Brown just goes off, and you can't slow them. They've signed Joe Johnson now. ISO Joe is back in the league. He will be suited up for the Celtics in that game. And look, guy can probably still get buckets. Like, I don't know how much he's defending, but guy can probably still get buckets tomorrow, at the NBA level. I think they're going to get a lot of points. It's just I don't think anybody's had to deal with the injury load the Bucks have. And I don't just mean COVID. They haven't had Dante DiVincenzo all season. He finally got healthy, and then he went into COVID protocols. I don't know if he'll be available. They haven't had Brook Lopez all season. They have not had him. He played opening night. He hasn't played since. They've tried to roll DeMarcus Cousins. They brought him in. He's played 9 games for him, started 2, but he's shooting 37%. He's not really solving their problems. They're not the same defensive team. They're a little better, obviously, with Giannis, but I think this is a shot where maybe the Celtics can get the upset. I don't think that this is I think that they've got a legitimate shot. I mean, the Bucks are the better team, but I think that they're banged up and flawed enough right now that you can catch them.
You think they're vulnerable? Okay. I think the Bucks are going to win. I think the Bucks are going to win. The problem with the Celtics is just every single time, I'm telling you, Kurt, it's almost like going down, Christmas Day morning and expecting a gift that you're like, oh, you got me the skateboard I always wanted. And you open the present and you're like, oh, no, it's the scooter. Yeah. It's kind of like that's how it is with the Celtics for me. I'm like, every single time I watch them play, I'm so excited. And then I'm just kind of, disappointed. It's I don't know what it is. I just trust the Bucks more. Once again, despite everything, I'm still going Bucks.
By the way, I agree with you. I'll pick between you and me and just, the two of us here, I'm gladly will pick the the Celtics, I'm not betting on the Celtics. I don't trust them enough to put actual money on the Celtics. Like, I don't believe in them like that. But I think that this is an opportunity.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this one, though, this is going to be the game, Warriors Suns. For me, this is the game that I am super excited to see. So we saw the matchup earlier, and the Suns beat the Warriors.
Yeah.
Now, in this rematch, given what has happened, Steph Curry is now the all-time NBA leader in three-pointers. The Suns are still rolling on. They have the best record in the league. Warriors right there behind them with second best. What's going to happen?
You know, this is the best game of the day. This is the two best teams in the NBA so far this season. And, knock on wood somewhere, they are largely healthy, right? Like, this is a really great matchup. I got to say, I saw the Suns this week in person kind of demolish the Lakers in the second half. Frankly, demolished them in the first half. They started 3 of 20 from three on really good looks. They were just cold. And when everything started to fall, they took the Lakers apart. They are so good because they are so versatile. They can beat you so many different ways. You want to go small like the Lakers did? Well, they can keep DeAndre Ayton is athletic enough that you don't have to go small. You want to switch LeBron and have LeBron attack him? Ayton will take that. Like, he will hold his own. They believe in their culture. They believe in each other. They move the ball. And the other thing that when you watch them play, Corey, the floor balance is brilliant. They're always spacing the floor. They're always in the right spot. So against the Lakers in particular, who like to run, and I think this is true against the Warriors, there's always guys back. There's always guys in the way. There's always guys going to the right spot. So you don't get those easy transition buckets because nobody ran. They're always in the right spot. Monty Williams has done a brilliant job building a culture on this team where they just all buy in.
I really like, you know me, Kurt, I'm a big man kind of guy. I just love big men play in the NBA. I'm a big fan of the way that JaVale McGee has just instant impact whenever he's on the floor. He's almost averaging a double-double, like off the bench. And every single time he's in, he really changes the way that people play. You know, when they're driving to the rim, he affects their shot. And it seems like he's impactful in every aspect of the game. And that's the backup, right? You think about DeAndre Ayton, and we've talked about how he's blossoming into the player that we thought he could be when he first got drafted. Yeah, I think the Suns might win this one. And just because it's hard for me to count out the Warriors, but in recent games, especially leading up, I know there's a lot of anxiety around Steph Curry trying to hit, that go past that record point. But there were times when I was like, the Warriors, when they're forcing it, they're not a pretty team, despite all the talent. I know they're missing Clay still, but when they're forcing it, there's just something missing there. And if they play loose and play free, like we've seen a million times, that's the most dangerous team in the league. But if they come out on edge, I don't trust that team in that scenario. I'm going to go Suns because the way they're playing, the way they played against the Lakers yesterday too, is just clinical.
They're playing at a higher level. And like you said, I think the Warriors are, maybe it's the effect of Clay, maybe in the road trip they were on, Steph Curry's chase and the road trip they were on. Over their last 7 games before we recorded this, they're 5-2, but they have a 0.0 net rating. They're basically neutral. They've won some close games. They mailed one in. They didn't send half their team to Toronto, so it's a little skewed. But they just haven't been playing at the level they were a few weeks ago. They have not been that team yet. And the Suns are clicking right now. So, yeah, I'm leaning towards Phoenix, but any given day with Steph Curry, man.
True. But it's funny, dude. It's like, Kurt, we're talking about the 2 best teams in the NBA. So we're like a 5-2 team versus a team that went on a double-digit win streak. It's like you're splitting hairs here. It's like, Steph Curry's shoe was untied. I don't know if he's going to win. It's like we're splitting hairs.
Yeah. And by the way, very good chance that this is a Western Conference Finals preview, the way these teams are going.
Circle it, fans. You heard it here first. Now, Nets-Lakers. Now, that's going to be interesting given the stars that the Nets have currently in protocol. James Harden might be back. He entered protocol December 14th as well. So, but Kevin Durant's in protocol. Kyrie Irving's back on the team for the road games, but he's currently in protocol. We know that Anthony Davis has a sprained MCL, so he's out for 4 weeks. And we just saw the Lakers lose pretty dramatically against the Suns there in the second half. What would be your pick here in this game?
I'm not sure if James Harden enough, the way he's been playing will be enough. LeBron, first off, when you watch the Lakers right now, their defense is bad. Just without Anthony Davis, they're just not. They're rolling out, especially bench lineups with Isaiah Thomas, Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook, just a bunch of minus defenders, one after the other, and you can attack their bench unit. But I'm not sure that the Nets have the players to take advantage of that the way they would want. And the other thing from that game, though, that the Lakers are still a pretty good team when LeBron James is on the floor. Like, they've actually played the Suns even in LeBron James's minutes. They got crushed whenever he sat. And that's look, long term, especially with Davis out there, they're asking too much of LeBron, and I'm concerned about what the minutes and the load he takes on in December and January. What does that mean for April and May? But they're good when he's on the floor. They're still there. He gets downhill. He had 34 points against the Suns. He makes plays. He finds guys. He'd have more assists if guys could knock down shots. Like, I think the Lakers might win this one. I think at home, LeBron will rise up. He just, he's up there for the big games. I kind of like the Lakers in this one.
And you mentioned it. That's kind of been the story of the Lakers all season long. When LeBron's out, they don't look very good, and when he's on the floor, they're fine. They're potent. So yeah, I'm with you. I mean, you look at the Nets, who they have in the safety protocols, the health and safety protocols, the past couple of weeks. The list
3 straight games canceled. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where even if they got Harden back, like you mentioned, even if they got some of these players back, what is the chemistry like? How's it going to, especially, in that scenario where that LeBron James, he's showtime. It's like he's going to show up at the biggest moments. The Lakers, despite, like we said, falling nearly 20 points there against the Suns, they played even in the first half. Like you're right there. So I am curious. But remember during that game, though, Kurt, when LeBron hit the floor, that was a scary moment where he could have been injured again. He's already missed 10 games due to injury. Do you think that will linger?
I don't think so too much. By the way, Mike, my favorite moment of that game, yes, he was clearly in pain. He kind of landed on that ankle. But then he did like a WWE move where he rolled over. He stared at his leg for a minute, then laced it up and got up and kept going. It was such a brilliant kind of tough guy move, but also like, I can buy myself about a minute of rest just sitting here on the floor waiting for this. It was such a veteran move. I don't think that, hopefully it's not. LeBron has fought through a lot of, legendarily fought through ankle issues over the course of his career. And it's caught up with him a little in recent years, but he seems like he's able to play through it. Nobody puts more into taking care of their body than LeBron. I think he'll be ready to go. Next
one on the list, Mavs versus Jazz. And Luka has missed, he hasn't played since December 10th. If I'm not mistaken. So what's your take on that game?
Yeah, the Mavs just aren't very good without Luka. That whole team is built around him as the primary shot creator. With all due respect to Jalen Brunson, who tries and is a really good player. In fact, I think he's going to get paid nicely this offseason. But if they don't have, then Porzingis has got the toe issue. He's questionable at best. I just don't think there's that much there. And the Jazz, by the way, they stumbled a couple games over the weekend, but they'd won 8 in a row before that. They're playing really good basketball as well. And another team that's like we were talking about with the Suns, they're balanced. They believe in their culture. They know who they are. They know what they want to do. They know who they want to be. They move the ball around. They've got stars in Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, but they've got guys they can trust up and down that roster. And I think their structure overwhelms. The only way I could see Dallas winning that game would be Super Luka, and I don't know that we're going to get to see that playoff Luka who can just carry a team.
Yes, he is hopeful with that ankle injury. Hopefully. He is hopeful to play in Thursday's game against the Bucks. But like I said, hasn't played since the Pacers in December 10th. But we know Luka, he could drop a triple-double at will.
He could come back and take over this game still. He could come back a little rested. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. That could make it a lot of fun. As good as that Jazz defense is, Luka's a problem, man.
Yeah, that's an understatement. So now we got through that slate of games. It was almost like a maybe if in this scenario, then maybe this. But who knows what will happen? I'm excited just to watch basketball, Kurt, on Christmas
You know what?
Day, to be completely honest with you.
Great NBA basketball on Christmas is just, it's part of the tradition, isn't it?
So let's go into our stocking stuffers. So PBT Picks wish list. Just give me one or two things that you want in a best case scenario in a world where good things happen, Kurt. What do you want to see in the NBA?
You know what? How about my favorite story of late? Let's get the Cleveland Cavaliers a little more help. There's rumors that they're going to be they're going to be buyers at the trade deadline. Maybe they go after someone like Karis LeVert or somebody. That's a good team. They are probably the hottest team in the NBA right now. They've won 6 straight as of us talking. They are playing really good basketball. I love the idea of these Cavaliers coming out of nowhere to be a threat. Darius Garland, Ricky Rubio have proven to be a really good backcourt. Guys, role players are stepping up. Isaac Okoro and guys are stepping up. Mobley looks like the rookie of the year. Let's get them 1 or 2 more players. Let's see what they can do in the playoffs. I would like to see a run and some plays for the Cavaliers.
I'm going to go a little more abstract. By the way, that sounds. I know you love Mobley. I know you love the Cavs up and up. So I respect that. I think from my perspective, I just kind of wish for health and peace. I just want to see people play. I want to see people on the court playing, and everyone's back healthy and everything to slow down. But as far as like a specific team, I have to go San Antonio. I have to go Spurs. Well, I just want to be able to see one on national television. Can we get some love from my Spurs?
DeJounte Murray, man.
What?
DeJounte Murray has been a stud of late. He has been fantastic.
Yes, so that's what I would want. I live in New York, and I can catch the Nets and the Knicks all the time. I would just like to see the Spurs, on a national television game just once, so I don't have to go to NBA TV and on the back. I would love to just see that, just for me, so I can wear my Spurs jersey around New York with all the pride that I normally do.
Ginobili nominated for the Hall of Fame too, by the way, this week. So
that was a wonderful that on my wish list. That's wonderful. Congratulations to Manu and his family.
He's a lock, right? Not only like 4-time NBA champion and just the most gutty, crafty player of all time. You kind of forget internationally, he led Argentina to a gold medal. Like he has been huge for them internationally. So yeah, he's a lock.